The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome back to another episode of the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg, and as always, I am joined with my co-host, Jacqueline Smith. And today we're getting into another exciting episode. And Jacqueline, the last few episodes, we've been talking a lot about the stress and the changes that you and I and our partners and our listeners have been going through. And today we're going to continue that conversation and some of the reasons as to maybe why change is hard again, and to why that fear comes in with us, and maybe how that fear isn't serving us. And then we're going to give us some tips on how these changes in the stress is actually a good thing, and how maybe those painful points throughout our lives, how we can use influence to push through those painful times in our life and remind ourselves that those painful times, those don't last forever, Jacqueline, but the victories that we endure during those painful times, those do last forever. So today is a conversation about, pain and stress, but good stress. And I'm excited to get in this conversation with you today, Jacqueline, because this is something that we've talked a lot about. But today we're flipping this and talking about working through that pain using influences and the good stresses that we have in our life that come from change, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot about, I think when you break it down, it's like the process of growth. And I think a lot of people will say like, oh, yes, I'm into growth. I'm a growth-minded person, and I really, really like growth. Like I love personal growth, professional growth. And when you really think about, what's growth? I think what people are saying when they say how much they love growth is they actually love the result of growth.
Ooh,
Like they love like what they get. But the process of growth is actually really a breakdown. And I was reading about like growth of a muscle, right? And when you engage in resistance training or any activity, right, that challenges your muscles, you actually create small tears in the muscle fibers. And this is a form of stress or stimulus that triggers the growth process. So these tiny, teeny little tears, they're essentially damaging your muscle fiber, which signals to the body that a repair is needed, which causes the growth to happen, the growth of that muscle. And so I got to thinking about this, and in our roles, we do coach a lot of business owners that happen to be in real estate, right? But I know we have a lot of people who listen to this that maybe aren't business owners, or they're not in real estate, but maybe they own a business outside of this space. And I think about how often I see people avoiding the work, and that work is essentially the process, the breakdowns that stimulate, right, growth in us. So we have to become a new version of ourselves. We have to grow in a skill or in a leadership, or if you think about it in your health journey, the growth is not the fun part. But everyone's like, sign me up. I'm a growth fiend, and then when they're in it, they avoid the pain and the stress and just frankly the work that actually will bring them through that process and have the results that they are calling growth.
I think that's a really good point, Jacqueline. Like, go on social media these days, and that is a very popular word. That is a very common catchphrase, growth-minded. I'm growth-minded, right? I want to grow. But you nailed it. I think majority of us, we want to grow, but we don't want to go through the hard growth process. We just want that dang result. Like, we don't want to be the tree that had to be planted and be watered every day, and then that seed sprouts, and then that seed has to be protected, and that seed grows up, and it grows for actually maybe years before it even bears fruit. We just want the dang fruit right now, but that's not how life works. And then you mentioned the pain. It's like we want that change. We want that result. So sign me up.
Yeah.
But then as soon as that one painful moment comes, I guess that's your test right there. How badly do you want it? Because if you want it bad enough, the pain won't matter. Yeah, that pain will hurt. But this saying I've come up with, Jacqueline, has been really sitting with me, is like, this pain is temporary, guys. This pain usually doesn't last very long. The pain is temporary, but the victories that we endure will last forever. And I have a few stories in that regard. But, I think you nailed it, Jacqueline, that people, and when I say people, I mean me, we We want that result. And we talked about some of the reasons why people maybe quit, the 3 C's as to why people quit. Comparison was one of those. And I
Mhm.
was listening to a podcast just this morning, actually, with Alex Hormozy. He talked about some of the reasons why people don't change. And this quote really stood out to me. He said, "The biggest risk to your future isn't your competition, it's the distractions you insist on keeping in your life rather than doing the things you should be doing, but aren't." He said, "People delay doing the things they don't like for longer than it actually takes to do them." So he said,
Mhm.
like, we're just, our competition is not the other people. It's these distractions in our life. It's us saying, you know what, Jacqueline, I'm going to start, but not today. Or I'm going to start, but not right now. We delay it. We talk about it. We
Yeah.
spend more time talking about that 45-minute workout than just going and doing it.
Well, I mean, I don't know about anyone else out there, but I've sat plenty of times on my couch thinking about going downstairs to my gym to do my workout. And I've spent literally the amount of time that the workout would have taken thinking
Yeah.
about if I'm going to go do the workout, And so I think a lot of times you're right. People, it's like they perceive the pain, and that pain, like the avoidance of it, causes more pain than actually doing, like your Hormozy quote, right? They want the result, they want the victory, but they only want it while holding on to their comforts. So they
Yeah.
don't want to get uncomfortable, or they're willing to get a little itty bitty uncomfortable, right?
That's right.
And then they're little itty bitty uncomfortable and wonder, well, like, why isn't the result here? And so then they shrink back and they get all in their head, and yeah, it's this avoidance of the work. And I read a quote recently I posted on my stories that a lot of people sent me messages about, and it said, if you're waiting for when you're less busy, and you
Hmm.
can insert in there really anything like less busy, less uncomfortable, whatever, to start a new habit or program, it assumes that when you get busy again, you'll stop. So
Oh my gosh, right?
yeah, if you want enduring change, the best time to start is actually when you're busy. And if you can learn how to make it work in the worst condition,
Huh.
you'll stick to it in the best conditions, right?
That is so true, Jacqueline. It's like
Right?
let's find the way to make it easy, but then when life gets hard again, that easy thing is probably the first to go.
Yep. So think
Um,
about like what in your life are you waiting? Are you putting off? And you're inserting either less busy, less something with the kids, less, I don't know, distractions. Like, what is it that you're putting off, waiting for life to kind of line up with what you say
mhm,
you want? It's not going to. I mean, life, I don't know about you, but I'm 47 this September, and
mhm,
I can look back and like life is always happening.
mhm. You're so right. Life does not stop happening, fortunately.
Yeah.
Fortunately, as long as we're here, life does not stop happening and things don't stop happening and things don't start piling up. And as your kids, if you have them, get
Mhm.
older, they have more things in their life. As your business grows, and it will, hopefully, you have more things in your life. You have more people in your life. So you're probably not going to get less as we continue on this path of success. Jacqueline, you mentioned like the spending the time thinking about going to the gym and getting up, or
Mhm.
just spending the time thinking about doing things before we actually do them. You know, Mel Robbins has a very good technique for that. Are you familiar with her technique on like how to just do things immediately?
Yeah, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or something like that. It's like
That's it. And we didn't even talk about that, so I'm glad you were kind of familiar with that. But it sounds so elementary,
yeah.
but there is a science to it. So for those that don't know, Mel Robbins, she is an amazing influencer and leader in thought. And she talks about her story and how hard her life got and what helped her. And I've done this, and I promise it will help you as well. When you are in this moment of, I need to get up and do this, or should I get up and do this? You give yourself this countdown. So when you're waking up tomorrow morning and you're thinking, gosh, I want to go out to the gym, but my bed is so comfortable, you just do the countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you go. And you tell your brain, when I do this countdown, I do not negotiate with you. This is the deal that I make to myself. And you start doing that with maybe the little things, right, that aren't as hard. Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to call that person that I've been thinking about putting it off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to go get my glass of water that I've been meaning to get for the last 45 minutes, but I've been so busy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And we start to train our brain. Like Tony Robbins says, when I tell my brain what to do, I don't negotiate with you, mother. And he fills in the bad word, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we tell our brain what to do, how can we make it so we don't negotiate with our brain? And when it comes to pain and change, our body's going to just say, Jacqueline, you shouldn't do that. It's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. So do we have influences in our life? Are we looking at the 15-point plan? And do we have influences in our life that when we look at that pain, you say, you know what? I don't care how hard or how bad this hurts. This person is pushing me so hard. I'm going to get through that pain because there's a victory on the other side.
Yeah, I think your influences are so important. And then the other thing I think too is goals. So I don't think it's a coincidence. When I look at my goals every day, I'm definitely more focused. I have my priorities straight and I get more done. When I don't look at my goals, like I might kind of float through, be a little more distracted. And so you can't have a goal, right? And not be willing to do the work that it requires. And so if you look at your goals every single day as part of your 15-point plan, and you maybe write them down, you say them out loud as an affirmation, whatever your practice is for being in relationship with your goals, it's really hard to be in relationship with your goal every single day and not do things to move the needle forward.
Yeah.
So I think that's another one of the points on the 15-point plan that is there to help you prioritize what's most important. And if your goal truly is a goal and it's important to you, then you're more likely to take action on it if you look at it
That's
daily.
right.
Yeah.
Daily. Yeah, you have to look at it daily because you'll start to just slip off. You'll start to forget. Then you'll forget a little bit, Jacqueline. And if you're like me, you'll be like, I actually don't even want to look at that goal now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at it. So
Well, if I know I'm off track, why do I need to look at it?
yeah. And so that's dangerous. Can I share a story about something
Yes.
that I did hard? Because I know a lot of our partners and listeners recently did that 29029,
Yes.
where they climbed the equivalent of Mount Everest on a mountain in Whistler. They had to do it 8 times, and hopefully we'll have some of the participants in that as a guest here. But that was like this. That's one of the things that people do these days. It's just this hard, super hard thing. So shout out to everybody that did that 29029. I have not done that yet, but I'm hoping to do that in the future. But Spartan races are something that I've done in the past that I've always loved to do and that have always been challenging and hard. And one year I had this goal, Jacqueline, that I just wanted to beat my time the previous 2 years. And this was like 3 years ago. It was the most or on the verge of the most fit that I've probably ever been. But I realized that going into that race, the people that I was training with, I had kind of outgrown a little bit, and my influences weren't pushing me as much as I needed to. And thankfully, I showed up at that race with a group of 3 other people that I didn't know. One of them I knew, but the 2 others I didn't. And one of them turned out to be the Washington State CrossFit champion. This woman was just like absolutely amazing, just built. And I saw her and I was like, she is going to whoop me. She's going to absolutely whoop me. But that was the influence that I needed, right? That was the influence and the push that I needed. And we took off and she just took off. And I was like, I'm going to keep up with her. And I'm going to try my best to keep up with this person. And it was the influence that kept pushing me. And I did my best. And right up to the end, Jacqueline, I was right there with her. And if you've done a Spartan race, you know you got to climb that rope. And you know that if you haven't done a Spartan race even, you know that when you go climb one of those big ropes, it is not the smartest idea to just slide down that rope. But we were neck and neck, Jacqueline. We were neck and neck.
Oh,
And I knew that, dang it, if I just slide down this rope right now, I'm going to beat her. Like I knew it. I knew it. I could see the finish line, Jacqueline. And I also knew if I slide down this rope, I am going to completely tear my hands apart. So I had a choice to make in about an instant. And guess what? There was not even a choice because I was hungry and that influence was pushing me so hard. So I slid down that rope and my hands got absolutely mangled. But guess what? I won.
mm-hmm.
And I crossed that finish line. And I'm getting goosebumps now because I still remember that moment. And that victory will last the rest of my life. And now my hands are healed. That pain is no longer here, but that victory will last forever. So I learned like having an influence pushed me through past the point of pain, and it pushed me to a place that I'd never been before. Did it hurt? Yeah. But does it hurt now? No.
Yeah. So she was your pace partner in
Yeah.
a sense, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, first of all, that's incredible. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I was like cringing, picturing him sliding down that rope. So I'm glad that your hands are healed. And if we think about influences in our life, and that is one of the 15 points is influences, who are the pace partners,
Mm,
various aspects of your life? Who's your pace partner for your health? Who's your pace partner for your business? I will give a shout out, and this none of this was planned or scripted. We don't script these, but I want to shout out our friend Adelina Rotar, who is
mm,
in Austin, Texas, and runs an incredible business in Texas down there. And when I first partnered with Ben Kinney, she didn't. Maybe she knew it, maybe she didn't, but she was my pace partner.
mm.
And if she hadn't been there, I mean, I don't know that I would have maybe grown as fast as we did, or I wouldn't have pushed myself, but she was an awesome pace partner. And I think about that in just my various aspects of my life is like, who's my pace partner for my spiritual growth? Like, who is that mentor, that example, right? Who in my health? And I love being a part of this world that we're in with place, because we had, I think they said like 30 people do this 29029.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have on an upcoming episode an interview with Via Williams, who completed that challenge. And it's the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And it's just having these people in your life just around you. They're indirectly influencing you, even if we don't talk to them every day. Just seeing all these people doing that, um, like while I'm like on the couch, I mean, it just gives you a different perspective, and it gives you a sense of like what's possible. Like it gives you like that girl that you were saying from the Spartan race, right? Like you
Yeah.
pushed yourself to a place you had never been, and you were with people. I don't know, I'm assuming you were probably at least on par with them or probably ahead of them, but you didn't have anyone to show you, okay, well, what does it look like to go further? So you needed
Yeah.
a new pace partner, and so sometimes you have to seek those people out in your life because they might not be right in your vicinity. Like you didn't know anyone, right? You didn't know her. Um, and I think that we underestimate a lot how impactful the influences in our lives are, the pace partners that we choose to surround ourselves with. It can slow us down, or it can take us further than we ever thought we could possibly go.
I think that's such a good point, and a great way to end it, Jacqueline. We can look at that person as a pace partner or as a competitor, and we could then easily turn that switch in the wrong direction. What I heard from you was I looked at somebody that was doing what I wanted to do and pushed me, and I didn't say, "Oh, darn them." You probably reached out to them, and the cool thing about that is those types of people are often so willing to help because
Mhm.
they think, "Oh, you know what? If Jacqueline's reaching out, I bet she's got something she can offer me, and we can actually both feed off of this."
Yep. Yeah.
So let's flip how we look at somebody and then let's reach out to them. There's no shortage of resources of people out there. And maybe you don't have them in your town. Ben just told me last week, he said, Ryan, you're probably going to get to a point where you might have to hop on a flight
Yep.
to be around people that you really want to elevate yourself with.
Yep.
You might outgrow your circle, and that's okay. There's people out there. So look for them and then reach out to them and use them as a pace partner, not a competitor.
Yep. I love that. Well,
Super
good.
smart.
Okay. So next week, we will be talking with someone that just has overcome so much in their health journey, and recently completed that challenge. And we're really excited for that conversation. And we hope this was a valuable conversation that helped you look at growth and the avoidance of pain and the attachment to comfort and, your competition or influences or pace partners in a new light. We hope that this will help you feel excited about maybe the challenges in your life, that there's positive things that come from those tough moments. And as always, we are so thankful for you listeners for sharing and supporting this podcast. And we always love to hear from you. You can find us on Instagram. Ryan Park Greigg, Jacqueline Ray Smith, and you can also find more information about the 15-point plan on the winmategive.com site /15-point plan. And we will see you, or not see you, we will talk to you all next time on our next episode.
That's right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, take care.